Okay, what is up, everyone? We are back here for another family education and support group. It is Saturday, April 23rd, 2022 at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, however you are watching this, wherever you're watching this, I just want to say welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for participating in another family education and support group. This one is just as much for the family members as it is for the loved ones, as it is for anybody actually watching this. I mean, if you just happen to stumble upon this channel, maybe you'll get something out of this. And it's a different way of looking at something that I look forward to actually teaching. I just did this morning for our program participants, and I just had so much fun doing it. And my hope is that it will also translate to those who are watching this today. So good morning, Jim. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, everyone in advance, the Julians of the world, whoever's going to come on right now. Thank you for being here. I love and appreciate you, and wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for your ongoing support. And today's kind of interesting. So for anyone new watching this real quick in 30 seconds or less, let me tell you who I am. My name is Param. I bring this to you every single week, Saturday, around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy with an emphasis in child development. I am a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also in recovery myself. So June 13th, 2008 is my day that I changed my life around from living a version of myself to a new version of myself. And I'm just excited to bring this education to you guys. I just want to pull up something real quick.
My name is Param.
I just want to make sure
I'm just excited to bring this.
Hold on one second, everyone.
Education to you guys. I just want to pull up something real quick.
No, okay, never mind. I was trying to pull it off the computer, but it didn't work. So, anyways, Tony, what's up? Mom, Dad, what's up? So, there is so much information out there, so much information on how to improve your life, on how to improve your recovery, on how to improve the overall well-being of your life, on how to improve your relationships, on how to improve your health. And there's not enough good information out there on how to ruin your life, okay? And you might be wondering, like, what the hell is this guy talking about today? Why is he teaching us on how to ruin our life? Well, the reason is this: because some people in life are committed to being miserable. Some people in life want to be miserable for the rest of their life. And what does miserable mean? The definition of miserable is wretchedly, unhappy, or uncomfortable. There's so many people who just want to be wretchedly unhappy and uncomfortable in life. So I've decided to kind of give you a template, maybe 15 different items on how to stay miserable for the rest of your life. And without any further delay, I'm going to go through and tell you what it is. So number one way to stay miserable for the rest of your life is the following: compare yourself to other people. If you're trying to stay miserable for the rest of your life, compare yourself, compare your relationships, compare the way your loved ones live in life to other people. There's no other better way to do it. To go then say, you know what? That person is better than me. That person is smarter than me. That person has more support than I do. That person is set up in a way in life that I was never set up. That person's son or daughter is doing so well. That person's loved one is doing so good in recovery. There is nothing like comparison that will allow you to tap into that feeling of misery, right? And sometimes it's the flip side of it. People compare themselves the other way. That person's so bad. That person's so horrible. That person's so dumb. That person, I mean, gosh, that relationship, look at their relationship. Oh, it's so horrible. And that's another form of comparison. So comparison always isn't that, hey, someone is better than me. Comparison's I'm better than someone else. And it just goes around and around and around. The only comparison in life that one needs to make is the comparison with self, with a previous version of self. We only compare ourselves to who and what we were yesterday. Who and what we were yesterday. And if you made progress from that, then you're making progress in life. Every other comparison in life is completely a waste of time And it is a path, a direct path to misery, right? So if you're trying to stay miserable, number one is make sure that you compare yourself to other people. Number two, if you are trying to stay miserable in life, is to believe that your story of your life until this moment is who you are. So to believe all of the things that happened to you in your life, the ups, the downs, the heartbreaks, the tragedies, the experiences you've had, the traumas you've endured, the moving, the losing stuff, the gaining stuff, the divorces, the marriage, all that kind of stuff, whatever the hell's in your life, to believe that your story equals who you are as a person. That is a beautiful way to achieve misery in life. You want to know why, my friends? Because you are not your story. You are not your story. All your story is a bunch of events that have happened to you up until this moment. And this moment continues to build on the next moment, builds on the next moment, builds on the next moment. And guess what happens? Eventually, the story changes. But it only changes if you change. And if not, people will be spending 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And guess what? They still are the story of their past. Well, don't you know this happened to me? Don't you know this is what I experienced? If you would have experienced this too, this would be happening to you as well. People come in and saying that they are their addiction. They are their mental illness. They are their trauma. No, you're not. Only people that are committed to misery believe that they are what they have experienced in life. Only people that are committed to misery are the ones who believe that what they experience in life defines who they are as people. You are not your addiction. You are not your loved one's addiction. You are not your mental illness. You are not your loved one's mental illness. You are not your trauma. You are not your loved one's trauma. Those are just events that have happened in situations that you're going through in life. And what's up, everyone? Sorry, there's a lot of good mornings coming in. Let me just catch everyone here real quick. Yeah, there's another way. So good morning, Mina. Good morning, Tony, Russ, Jim. Appreciate all the feedback coming in. So let's see. Number 3, and I kind of changed these around on the Facebook description. Let me see real quick if I could pull it up because I wrote a better one for the Facebook description of this talk. Give me 1 second. I promise I'll be as quick as I can be right now. I just want to pull something up without it going live. I promise I'll be quick. Sorry for the technical quick difficulty. Okay, I'm getting the more accurate list that I wrote this morning after doing it for the clients, and I'll use that in today's talk with you. Okay, so let me close this. I'm back here. So the next one is number 3, is never, ever forgive. Okay, if you are committed to staying miserable for your life, this is what I want you to do. Never, ever forgive. And who am I talking about here? Well, number 1, never, ever forgive yourself. Beautiful, beautiful way to become miserable in life. Never forgive yourself for being human. Never forgive yourself for making mistakes. Never forgive yourself for not knowing any better at times in life. And also never forgive yourself for even knowing better but doing it anyways. Never forgive yourself. Draw a hard line of no compassion to self. And guess what? Don't just stop there. If you want to stay miserable for the rest of your life, this is what I also suggest you do. Find other people that may have done you wrong, sometimes by choice, and sometimes they didn't know any better either. The same way we can make mistakes because we didn't know any better, don't you think other people can do the same? Well, if you do, this is what I want you to do. Never forgive them. Never forgive, ever. I mean, that's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of you don't swallow your pride. Hold on to that. Hold it on right here. And you'll stay miserable for the rest of your life. You'll feel that pain. You'll feel that pain. And the next one, this is, I think, my favorite one here, because this is for sure the one. And thank you, Kathleen, for saying I don't need to apologize. Just do your best. Yeah, I am. I'm doing my best. And Jim says, accept, forgive, or you're screwed living in resentment. So Jim's giving the positive side of this. I'm sticking in the misery, Jim, today. I want people to know what it takes to be miserable in life. The next one right here is number 4. And it says, take everything personally. Okay? If you want to be miserable for the rest of your life, make sure that you take everything personally. Everything everyone does, everything everyone says, even a way somebody looks at you. I want you to take that personally. How dare they look at me that way? How dare they use that tone of voice with me? How dare they say X, Y, and Z? You know what? There's 8 billion people in this world, right? And everybody in this world is going through, just busy as we can be, just trying to get by another day. Don't you know that they're all stopping, and whatever they're doing is because of you? You know, there's a good book called The 4 Agreements that teaches something that it doesn't help if you're trying to be miserable, by the way. It helps if you're trying to be free. But it says never take anything personal. And what it says is anything anyone ever does is not because of you or despite of you. It's because of their own world and their own reality. So, for example, if someone knocks on the door over there, but right before they walk in, they just get a phone call that someone they dearly loved just either passed away or got sick, or they just lost their job and they lost their income, or they just received some really bad news. And as soon as they open up the door, they look angry. They're short with me. They have a temper. They're not engaging in conversation. And I sit back and say, God, what's wrong with them? What did I do? Why are they taking it out on me? And on the flip side of it, if that person right before they walk in my door, they receive a phone call that the person they love loves them back, they got this promotion at work, or the person that was really sick just got good news from the doctors because they're cured now, and they walk in happy, giving hugs, loving, all that kind of stuff. Neither one of those has anything to do with me. It's their own world, their own reality. What they're going through dictates how people react and respond to others. So if you want to live a life of misery, which, by the way, miserable again is defined as wretchedly unhappy and uncomfortable, make sure that you take everything personally at all times. Great path to misery. Now, the next one says, let fear be your master and only live in your comfort zone. Okay, let's talk about this one. So what is fear? Fear is a human emotion. I experience it. You experience it. Everyone you know experiences it. Some things in life cause more fear. Some things in life cause subtle fear. People are afraid of growth. They're afraid of intimacy. They're afraid of relationships. They're afraid of success. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of dying. There's so many different fears that we have in life. So if you want to be miserable, allow that fear to grab hold of you and for it to become your master to the point that you are unable to do anything out of the realm of comfort. You only do what you're comfortable doing. You only experience what you're comfortable experiencing. You don't tip your toe out anywhere outside your comfort zone. And you live a life of stagnation, and you live a life of disconnection. You live a life of lack of growth, lack of development. And it's a beautiful path to misery. And don't have any courage. You don't need courage. Who needs courage? What is courage? Taking action despite of fear. No, you don't want to be a courageous person because then you might not be miserable. Make sure that whatever you do in life, you let fear be your master. And some people might be listening to me right now saying, well, hey, you don't have the type of fear that I've had, or you don't have the type of crippling anxiety that I have despite of fear. First of all, yes, I do. You want to know why? Because I'm a human being. Second of all, I've had life experiences. Third of all, that's just what happens in life. And I've taken actions despite of fear. And yeah, by the way, I like this. Hold on. I like these little catchy phrases. Eileen just said something. Not taking any risk is a risk. They say they say, if you don't take any risks in life, at the end, when it's all said and done, they're going to give you a bill for not trying, for trying in life. They're going to give you some bill at the end of life. And you're going to look at it and say, God, man, that's a hefty bill. Wait till they give you the bill for not trying. At the end of life, when it's all said and done, wait till someone hands you the bill of not trying. It will be the sticker shock value. It's like going to a restaurant, they bring you a bill and it's 10,000 times more than what you thought it was going to be. That's the bill at the end of life for not trying. And that's the bill that people pay when they live in their comfort zones. So the next one that I have here, number 6, and there's 15 of these, so bear with me. I'm very excited about this list because, as a therapist, as a clinician, as someone that's in the field of human transformation, I've seen 2 schools of thought of people. This is where this all coming from, by the way. I've seen the ones that accept who they are, but they say, this is not enough for me and I want more. I've seen the people that transform, that grow, that develop, that each day they build on the previous day before. And eventually one day they are a different version of themselves, unrecognizable to themselves in the world. And I've seen the people that don't change over an extended period of time. And what's common with them is the fact that, like right here, they let fear be their master and they don't take any risks and they live in their comfort zone, but also they're miserable. So I've been able to watch human beings and their characteristics and patterns and see what are the characteristics of those who are miserable. And some people might be honestly listening to this talk saying, why is he teaching us about how to be miserable in life? Well, every week I sit here and I try to teach about how to be connected, healthy, vibrant, living a life full of joy and all that kind of stuff. And guess what? Maybe the few watching right now who are committed and loyal come back and they apply all that stuff. But I could have this talk 1,000 times to 1,000 people, and about 950 of those 1,000 people will be committed to misery. Why is that the case? I don't know. Why do some pick it up and learn and pick it up and grow and evolve and develop? I don't know. That's kind of the human mystery that I'll never find out. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. So all I can do is continue to present the information and people do with it as they please. So the next one, number 6, it says, watch more TV, especially the news. If you're committed to being miserable in life, I want you to watch more TV. As soon as you get off this, maybe just watch TV while I'm talking. How about that? Watch more TV, especially the news. And I'm not one of those people that says it's not good to be ill-informed in life. So actually being informed of what's going on in your surroundings, being informed of what's going on in the world, being informed of what's going on with different elements, things that you might have passions about, that's wonderful and good, because the more information we have, the more knowledgeable we are, the more empowered we are to be able to act. However, the reason I specifically say the news, and I honestly don't care if it's right-wing news, left-wing news, because both of them do the same thing. They just do it with a different narrative and a different twist. What they do is it creates divisiveness. It creates polarity, black and white. It creates wrong versus right? It creates wrong versus right. It creates fear, by the way. That's one thing the news loves to do. And this isn't some random conspiracy rant I'm doing. The news likes to produce fear inside of us. And I'm a mental health professional. So I know that fear has negative consequences on the mind, the body, the spirit, and the actions we take. And when people get consumed with the news, first of all, they're disconnected from their own life. They're hyper connected to a world that's being created for them. So, and at the byproduct of that, the end result of that, they become more miserable, because here's the thing, it creates disconnection. Disconnection is the number one reason for misery. The more we're connected to self and others, the less miserable we are. The more we feel a community, the more we feel as a tribe, as one. So if you're trying to be miserable for the rest of your life, dive into the news. I don't care if it's the left or the right. If you dive into one deep enough, you're going to get the same damn outcome. You'll get the same exact result, by the way. I've seen people from both ends of it. They appear just as disconnected and miserable. So make sure you watch more TV. You know, a lot of commercials too. Commercials are great because what was the first one? Compare yourself to other people. There's no other way than marketing and advertising imprints on us that we're less than or we need something to become happy. Right? That's the basic, by the way, marketing advertising 101, that you need a object, you need a brand, you need a thing to be able to feel like those do inside that video. Let's see what Cheryl's comment is. Like Cheryl always puts some good stuff. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. Facing a huge change to move forward and stop being miserable at age 71. Hey, that's awesome. Wow. That was inspiring to me, Cheryl. I just want you to know that because I'm a big believer that lifelong transformation is available to all, not just when they're young, not just when we're old, but the entire continuum, because as long as we're living, we can transform. It has been a long time in coming. Fear has been my master. Well, hopefully today you're not committed to being miserable, hence you wrote that. And those who are not committed to being miserable, guess what? Fear is not their master, because that comment you wrote right there, that went completely against fear. You know how many people, Cheryl, wanted to say what you have to say in life, but they don't have the freedom to say so because they are the slave of their fear? But not you. So thank you for sharing that. That's a wonderful, powerful step. I'm going to keep that up a little bit longer. So the next one, it says number 7, obsess over why you can't do something versus how you can do it. Okay. So obsession is something that we do. It's like a coping skill. It's the way we think. And people that are committed to being miserable, they obsess about why they can't do something, why they can't succeed, why they can't move forward, why they're at a different level playing fields than other people. Well, if you experience the trauma I experienced, if you were psychologically, physically, sexually, emotionally abused growing up, if you were neglected, if you were abandoned, if you didn't have financial resources, then you would understand why I can't do this. You would understand why I can't do this. You would understand why I'm miserable in life. Well, you know what? I'm going to say something and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but that's okay. Because I'm not here to just share what people like to hear. I'm here to also challenge your thoughts. As someone who's been working in the field of transformation and mental health for, let's just say, over a decade, don't you think that I have worked with humans that have been psychologically, emotionally, physically, financially, mentally abused, taken advantage of? Don't you think I've worked with people that have been abandoned, neglected? Don't you think I've worked with people that have had a really, really bad hand of cards dealt to them in their life? And also, don't you think I've seen them transform? I absolutely have. So when 5, 10, 15, 100 people who experienced all that stuff no longer are obsessed with why they can't do anything, but more obsessed with how they can do it, I can no longer take someone's word for when they say, if this happened to you, you would understand. It's categorically false. It might be true to that person in this moment, and I have compassion for that. But just because something is true to someone in the current level of their understanding doesn't make it truth, because they haven't been exposed to the multi-generational levels of success that I've seen with people coming from broken homes and creating a loving environment for themselves. So obsess. So if you want to be miserable, this is what I want you to do. Continue to obsess over why you can't do something, why you can't, why you can't, why you can't, why you can't. And guess what's going to happen at the end of all that? You won't be able to. And then guess what? You will be able to prove yourself right. You'll be able to prove me right, saying, see, I told you that I couldn't do it because of all this. And guess what? You'll be right. I'll be wrong. You'll be miserable. I'll be doing another live stream. Right? That's really, at the end of the day, that's what happens. So, sorry, I can't take that as a absolute from somebody that says why they can't do something. I did it with the program participants this morning. You know, a lot of them have experienced and endured significant amounts of trauma. I'm going to call it what it is. Significant amounts of trauma, hence why they're using life-threatening life-ending substances to cope with it. You know, if someone's using significant amounts of painkillers, opiates, fentanyl, all that kind of stuff, if they're using significant amounts of painkillers, alcohol, cocaine, if they're using all these painkillers, marijuana, don't you think on some level these human beings are probably in some type of pain? Do you really think they only do it because they like drugs? Most people that use substances don't even like the drugs. They like the effects produced by the drugs because it takes away their pain. That's all it is. But despite of that, despite of what they've gone through, and I have a lot of compassion for individuals through that process. That's why my whole life is dedicated to the whole addiction, healing, transformation stage. But I can't tell them that, hey, just because you experience all that, that's it. You can't get sober. You can't move forward. You can't create a new identity for yourself. I'll never tell that to somebody because it's a lie. You know, it's a lie. And I told them that. And some people probably say, hey, man, this guy's just, he has no idea. You know, he has no idea what's going on for me. So let's see what we got here. I don't know what this one is. Yeah, there's a comment here that's not relevant to us. I think it's just an ad. I'm going to delete it. Okay. So the next one that I have here is people that are committed to staying miserable in life. This is for my codependents. You guys know I always do different groups on codependency. So this one's for you. So you should have your ears open on this one, my codependent friends. Make sure that you say yes to everything and everyone, even at your own cost. Okay? So if you want, and that includes your loved one, by the way, that includes your kids, that includes your spouses, includes your grandkids. Make sure you say yes to everything they want and need, even if that means you're saying no to yourself. Even if that means that you are messing up your own finances, messing up your serenity, messing up your peace of mind, messing up your boundaries, messing up you're starting to get angry and losing yourself. Make sure you say yes to everyone that says anything. Can you do this? Yes. Can I have this? Yes. Because what if you say no and they get dysregulated? What if you say no and they get sad and unhappy? Oh my gosh. And then what's going to happen? You don't know because you don't try it. So saying yes to everything and everyone, a wonderful path to misery. And am I saying it's not okay to say yes to someone when they ask you for help? You know me. I've been doing this for a couple of years now in front of you live. You've seen all my thought processes. It's a beautiful thing to help people out, but not at your own cost. It's a beautiful thing to choose to help someone, not at the risk of your own boundaries. You know, it's a beautiful thing to give to someone as long as you're not giving from empty pockets. As long as you're not giving from an empty heart. If you don't have anything, don't give it. What's the point? You're only going to end up being more and more empty, more and more miserable yourself. And the next one I got, yeah, Russ, I'm glad it was funny. The whole thing's pretty comical to me. If someone doesn't understand sarcasm or someone doesn't understand the duality of what's happening here right now, you're probably thinking that I'm going on some crazy rant. But here's a hint. If you're having a hard time following this, the opposite of what I'm saying is going to lead you to probably the best life of your life. So number 9, it says, don't work on yourself. So there's a good analogy that I like. They say, hey, why are the chairs in elementary school, like in first grade, why are they so small? Have you ever noticed, like, you ever go to like a teacher day or something like that, or go to school, or just think back to when you were a child, the little school desks for first graders are so tiny. They look like little cartoons almost. They're so small. And the reason why they're so small is because you're supposed to outgrow them. Okay, you're supposed to get physically larger than those chairs. That's really what happens. And if you don't work on yourself, what happens is there's parts of your mind, there's parts of your emotions, there's parts of your spirit that stay small over a period of time, as if it's those first grade chairs. So I want you to think how comical it is as a grown adult to go sit inside of a first grade chair. Now think that if you don't work on yourself, some of you are stuck in first grade mentalities. And if it doesn't want to be first grade, call it junior high mentality. If you don't want to call it junior high, call it high school mentality, adolescent mentality. And that's a direct byproduct of not working on self. If someone says they had anger problems in junior high, they have anger problems in high school, they have anger problems in college, they have anger problems in the relationship, they have anger problems at work, right? All that tells me is they didn't work on themselves and they're still sitting in that first grade chair. Because at some point, you got to work on stuff. But if you're committed to being miserable, if you're committed to being angry, don't work on yourself. If you have struggled with communication your whole life and you still struggle with communication, that tells me you're committed to being miserable with your communication. Work on yourself. But if you don't, it's a beautiful pathway to misery. And again, miserable, for those who are watching a little bit later, it means to be wretchedly unhappy or uncomfortable. And if you look back at your life and say, gosh, I've been wretchedly unhappy and uncomfortable for a long time, you are probably committed to misery. Not here to judge. What was number one? Don't judge other people. I'm not going to judge other people. But let's go to the next one. So the next one that I have here is to sleep late and don't have a morning routine. So now some people are saying, well, hey, the older I got, the sooner I fall asleep and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But there are people who repeatedly sleep late at night. And here's the reason why, by the way. And I'll give you a little insight on why some program participants, clients, tend to sleep later. Okay. If you come from a dysfunctional home, which I know some of you even watching this personally came from a dysfunctional home growing up when you were little, and mom or dad or whoever, grandparents or adopted parents, whoever it was, tells you to go to bed at 8 o'clock, 8:30. And you go to bed at 8:30 and you lie there and they tell you to go to sleep, but you sleep at 12:30 or 1. It's because those 4 hours that you had were the only 4 hours in the entire day that you had to yourself, that you had peace, you had quiet. So guess what? You're not going to lose it. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it. You're going to stay up and milk in and soak in those hours late night. There's a lot of people that do that, by the way. A lot of people that do that. And if you don't have a morning routine, so if each morning you wake up and every day is different, that's going to set you up to having less consistency in your day. Less consistency throughout the day, less consistency with the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. So staying up late and not having a morning routine over time produces misery. If you look at it this way, why are there so many articles, writings, readings, videos on this is a so-and-so person and here is their morning routine? Like, why do they highlight the morning routine of successful people? Why? You always have to ask yourself those questions. Like, why are they not highlighting the morning routine of someone who is unsuccessful and miserable? Because they're telling you exactly what not to do. Why not follow the path of those who we need to follow in order to find out how can I build some consistency throughout my day? Number 11 says, don't take care of your health, actually neglect it. So there's no other way to misery than to neglect your health. Just neglect it. Just don't even consider it. They say take a 30-minute walk 5 times a week, or, I say 7 times a week, 30-minute walks a day. Don't do that. They say try your best to not eat foods that are high in processed, that are high with fat, that are high in, animal-based products, red meat, all that kind of stuff, high cholesterol. Don't listen to that. They tell you to make sure that you stop to breathe, that you make sure to stay hydrated, that they make sure to get in the sun for a little bit, that you make sure to reflect throughout your day. Don't do any of that. Allow yourself to be someone who your veins are clogged up, your heart is unhealthy, your blood sugar is out of control, your cholesterol's high, you're on 1,000 different types of pills, because you chose to neglect your health. Be that person. It's a beautiful path to misery. Who doesn't want to spend the last 20, 30 years of their life on a bunch of medications, going to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, just so they can tell them how they can manage their unhealthy lifestyle through medication. Who doesn't want to do that? I mean, why not? If you're committed to being miserable, then just neglect your health. Don't stop to breathe. Don't drink water. Don't go in the sun. Don't eat things that are healthy. Don't eat plants. Don't eat fruits. Don't eat vegetables. Don't do any of that stuff. Come on. Now, what are you trying to be? You're trying to be healthy. You're trying to live with vitality. You're trying to live for a long time. You're trying to live in a way that you can have connection to self and others? No. Come on. Committed to misery. Make sure you get those cholesterol numbers really, really, really high. Clog those arteries. Sorry, that one was a little too intense, but why not? So the next one, number 12, says if you're committed to being miserable for the rest of your life, don't set realistic goals. Don't set realistic goals. So what does that mean? For example, this is what I told the program participants. So I'll take it off the families right now. So you're like, why is he coming at us so hard today? This is what I told them. I said, if you have been addicted to drugs and alcohol for 10, 15, 20 years, and now you've been sober for 30, 60, 90 days, don't expect your family to just all of a sudden, don't expect your family to trust you fully. I mean, it's like, hey, don't you know I've been sober for 30 days? They should trust me now. I mean, that's a really, really realistic goal to set. If your family doesn't trust you, now 30 days later, you believe that they should trust you, that's a really realistic expectation and goal to have for them. If you haven't been going to school for 10, 15 years, and now all of a sudden you want a bachelor's degree and you take 2 community college classes, of course you should expect to get a job that pays really well. See, what happens is people set these goals that are not based in reality. Like, for example, family members, their kid gets sober, 90 days later, they want their kid to be the same version of their child they remembered when they were like 12 years old. You know, now their kid's like 30 years old and they want the 12-year-old version to come back after 90 days. It's unrealistic. You're going to get disappointed. They're going to mess up. Depression will come up. Anxiety will come up. All that kind of stuff will happen. So make sure that you set yourself with the highest expectations, the most unrealistic goals, and you will be able to stay miserable. So remember that. Unrealistic goals, high expectations, great pathway to misery. And some of you might be laughing and joking as I'm doing this, but I promise you that you can identify times in your life that you set some really unrealistic goals for yourself and others. And when that person failed to meet that unrealistic goal, you felt miserable, right? So I'm not making this stuff up. This is just a byproduct of things I've observed and seen for an extended period of time. So the next one that I have here is to numb yourself every day. If you're trying to be miserable in life, this is what I need you to do. You need to find a way to numb yourself every single day. Every day. Don't take one day off. So some people numb themselves with drugs, with alcohol, with various different ways you can numb yourself. Let's explore them. Make sure you numb yourself with some food. Get in a food coma. Eat so much food that you get in a food coma. Make sure you numb yourself with shopping. If you got 5 credit cards, make sure each and every single one of those things is maxed out. And then go apply for another one with a really, really big limit. If you're on dating apps, make sure that you're going on multiple dates all the time to completely numb yourself out. If you are sleeping a lot, make sure you sleep in an extra 4 hours a day. Numb yourself out every single day. There's no other way to be miserable, because here's the thing. We're not supposed to feel feelings, right? I mean, who wants to feel feelings? Don't you know if I don't numb myself, then I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel mad. I'm going to feel scared. Well, guess what? The same way we try to feel happy, then by default, we should feel those opposite feelings. We can't selectively pick and choose what emotions we want to have. If you take away the ability to feel sadness, you will take away the ability to feel joy. We can't selectively pick and choose what we experience. If I feel sadness, I will feel joy. We only experience life through the opposites. Like, if you never experience what coldness feels like, do you think you'll understand heat? Impossible. But we say, I don't want to feel cold. I only want to feel hot. Well, what are you going to do in the middle of a snowstorm, my friends? Right? So many analogies today. My brain's on a different level, I think. But that's okay. I don't know if it's a good level or a bad level, but it's on some level. I'm having fun with this one. I really am. Number 14, there's only 2 more. Never say sorry. Never admit you're wrong. Never say sorry. Never admit you're wrong. Now, there are certain things, like I can say something hurtful to somebody, and I can come around and say, hey, I'm sorry for saying that. I've been guilty of that. That happens to the best of us. I can be wrong in a situation, and I can say, fuck, man, I messed that one up. I'm wrong. But because I'm not committed to being miserable, I'm committed to growing, evolving, becoming a better version of myself than I was yesterday and moving forward. But there's family members that know they've done wrong to their kid. Like they know it for a fact. But guess what? They swallow this thing called pride. And I'm the elder. They're the younger. I don't need to apologize. I was doing the best I could. Or they know that they've hurt somebody with their words or with their actions, but it's like, nobody ever told me they're sorry, so why should I tell somebody else I'm sorry? You know, that cold-hearted, malicious, ill intent form of communication. So if you're committed to being miserable, don't you dare say sorry, and don't ever admit you're wrong. And the very last one is to spend more time on social media. So if you're committed to being miserable, make sure that you spend more time on social media. Now, I'm going to give a little exclusion here because we're talking on social media here on Facebook right now. So outside the time you're on, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you can keep watching these ones. But social media has its beautiful caveats to it. It allows people to connect like this and makes communities get involved and expose us to some information we might not be able to get exposed to. But for the main thing about social media, I mean, you look at like an Instagram feed. It's called an endless stream. It just keeps going and going and going and going. It numbs you out, by the way. Social media is is numbing tools. All they're doing is fighting and competing for your attention. Have you ever wondered why Instagram's free, why Facebook's free, why TikTok's free? Because what you're paying is your attention span. You're actually using the currency that they're charging is your attention and focus. That's what it is. Businesses come and pay to put their product in front of you, but you don't have to pay to get that product in front of you. It's your attention span. And the more you see stuff on social media, by the way, the less you're going to feel happy about your own life, content about your own life, more miserable about your own life, and there you are again. So, in conclusion, today's talk was different. I always talk about ways that you can, do well and healthy and heal and all that kind of stuff. Today, we talked a little bit different about how to stay miserable for the rest of your life. The 15 things I said, I'll name them off. Compare yourself to other people. Believe the narrative and the story of your life is actually who you are. Never, ever forgive. Take everything personally. Let fear be your master and live in your comfort zone. Watch more TV, especially the news. Get really obsessed about whichever side of the news you believe in. Just really obsessed about it because you're going to be right and they're going to be wrong and there's misery. Obsess over why you can't do something because of all the things that happen to you in your life. Obsess about the reasons why you can't. Say yes to everything and everyone, even at your own cost. Don't work on yourself. I mean, no, don't even work on yourself. Tell other people to work on themselves, but don't work on yourself. Other people should do it, not you. Sleep late and don't have a morning routine. Don't take care of your health. Actually neglect it. Raise those cholesterol numbers, raise those blood sugar numbers, all that kind of stuff. Spend your latter years in life going back and forth to doctors, doing blood work and managing it because you chose not to. Don't set realistic goals. Create goals that are so unrealistic that no one, including yourself, will ever reach them. Numb yourself every day. If you don't choose to use substances and stuff, that's okay. You can use food, you can use work, you can use spending and all that kind of stuff. Never say sorry or that you're wrong. I mean, who does that? Only people that don't want to be miserable do that. And spend more time on social media. Spend more time on social media. And that's about it. So thank you. It looks like some of you guys understood she said, what did she say? Love the humor and the content. Thank you. It came off as humor, not insanity. Very helpful. Thank you, Lisa. Love and appreciate that. And you, Jim, thanks. I think I'll not be miserable today as I have a choice. Eileen said, thank you, Parm. A fun backwards information session. Yeah, so for those of you who did not understand what happened here today, by the way, some people might have not. All you have to do is just do the inverse of everything that I shared, and you will find the pathway to success and happiness. But that's all I got. So next week, I'm going to go live, but I'm going to go live a little bit later for this thing called the Celebration of Sobriety. Different people are going to come up and get different coins and celebrations and that stuff, and they'll share their stories. If you can't watch it live, please watch it in recording. It is very cool and very inspirational. And that's all I got for you. So love and appreciate it. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you so much for everyone for being here. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Okay. Bye, everyone.